Hello folks, welcome back. It's Easter weekend, and this weekend we're going to do a little bit of grafting. This will be our first grafting session of the season. Just a small test run. Usually on the first test run I don't do very good. The bees do fine. I usually don't do very good at my first grafting session. So I took a 10 frame deep that overwintered. Didn't have a real big population, but decent. They were building up pretty good. I did a small split off of them. I pulled the queen and a couple frames of bees and brood out of it 6 days ago. In the meantime, they know they're queenless. They are creating new queen cells. I don't want these queen cells. I don't want daughters off of that particular queen. So today we're going to go through. We have to do a really good inspection, cut out any queen cells that they have. This will make them hopelessly queenless. There will be absolutely nothing in there young enough for them to create a queen from. I will then go over to one of my breeder queens, pull a frame of eggs and young larvae. We'll graft a few. We'll drop them in a frame right down in there. If I do my part, they will jump on them, accept them, start creating queen cells off of them. So let's go on up, open up the hive, go through it, do a really thorough inspection, cut out any queen cells. I will then grab the frame, do my grafts, drop them in there. 24 hours later, I'm going to pull them, just take a quick peek, see how many of them that they accept. And then next weekend we start doing splits and start moving queen cells. So let's go on up. Okay, this hive was made queenless 6 days ago. We removed the queen and 2 frames of bees and brood, made a small split off of it. And today we're going to go in and remove any queen cells that they created. At this point they will be hopelessly queenless. There will not be anything young enough to make additional queen cells from. They have a lot of pollen. They've got some honey in here, a little bit of nectar. Good population. They still have all the field bees coming in, plus the house bees. They've had a lot of bees emerge in the last 6 days. So this will be pretty good as a hive to use as not only a starter, but a finisher. So we're not going to graft a lot of queens. Probably going to graft somewhere between 10 and 20. We're going to pop them down in here, and then in a few days we'll take a look, see how many queen cells that they're going to make off of them. I really only need about a dozen right now. So I'll probably graft 15 or 20 just to make sure I get plenty of them. As long as I do my job right, these girls will do their job. So, being queenless, they're not going to be happy with me opening it up and going through there and removing any queen cells. So, this isn't going to be a fun job. I know they're going to get mad at me. But let's suit up and get in there. We're going to have to be suited up on this one because I think they're really going to get pretty angry. Okay, like I said, I expect these girls to be pretty upset, being that they are queenless, and I'm going to be getting in there pretty hard. Got to go through every frame, make sure there's no queen cells whatsoever left. I don't want a daughter off of the original queen in this hive. She was a good egg layer. They were pretty good honey producers, but I didn't like the temperament. So I figured this would be a good one to use as a starter finisher though, because they had a tremendous amount of pollen, pretty good population building pretty quick this spring. It's still pretty early. Okay, girls, here I come. I remember right, this outer frame was pretty much all honey. Yeah, and it's got pollen along the bottom. but it was just a good food frame. It was blank on the other side. This was the far outside frame originally in this box. Make sure, yeah, there's nothing there. I'm surprised how calm they are, but here in a minute I'm sure they're going to get wound up. So I had designated this hive as a resource hive for this year. After the grafting's done, I'll break it all down into additional nukes. This one's got a lot of incoming nectar, a lot of pollen. We're good there. Didn't really expect anything on these outer frames. The two frames I took on the split actually had a lot of the open brood. There wasn't a lot of open brood left when I did that. There was a lot of sealed brood. Now we're getting into it. There's a queen cell. I'm gonna remove that. A lot of drone. Here's another queen cell. It's already capped. Again, I do not want any daughters off of this queen at all. So we're going to remove those. Just kind of move them out of the way here, make sure there isn't any others. It's amazing how they can hide them, especially they'll hide them up the side rails pretty good. I probably ought to be shaking these bees off. As bad as I hate to do it, I think I will, just to make sure. Shake most of them out of the way, you get a really good view. See, there's another queen cell I didn't see. See how they tuck them right here down in the corner. Get rid of that one. Like I said, I didn't see that until I shook them off. A lot of young bees emerging on that frame. Let's go to the next one, see what we got on the next one. Again, by removing these queen cells and the fact that there's no eggs or freshly hatched larvae, there's older larvae, but there's nothing of the right age to make a queen from. Yeah, look at that solid frame of sealed brood. And we're gonna get enough of the bees out of the way there. A couple of little cups, nothing in them. Okay, we've got another queen cell. Got one right here. See, they got a larva in it. Take that out. A little bit of drone brood across the top here. Some of my other hives have got a tremendous amount of drones in them already. They have for about 3 weeks. Just absolutely making sure there is no more cells here. I want them to be concentrating on a lot of fuzzy bees, a lot of young fuzzy bees. I want them to be concentrating on what I'm giving them, not their own. Actually, they're better behaved than I expected, especially with me shaking the frames. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, we got another one on this one. Beautiful frame of sealed brood. Got a queen cell up here we're going to get rid of. Get that larva completely out. Got some along the bottom here. Queen cell, queen cells. We're just going to scrape them all off. That one's even capped. Just get them completely out of there. Get rid of the larva. Don't want any chance of them coming back with their own. A lot of pollen shoved in between the brood on this one. A lot of fuzzy bees. So we got a lot of young bees that are becoming nurse bees. Brood frame looks good. One more here, and then we'll be into another food frame, I think. Okay, girls. Tremendous amount of pollen on this one. This is all pollen. Got some cups with nothing in them there. Empty cup there. The tremendous amount of pollen. Some sealed brood. Okay. Got another queen cell with a larva. Take that one out. That's a drone brood. A lot of older larvae down in there. So nurse bees will be all over these frames between the pollen and the open brood. I'm seeing a lot of field bees coming in. It's kind of cool today. It's in the upper 50s. Thin clouds. But there's still a pretty good field force out, bringing a lot of pollen in. The dandelion flow has just started. We've got a lot of purple dead nettle pollen coming in still. Solid, look at that, just solid pollen and honey, nectar across the bottom, honey across the top, open at the bottom. Okay, so we've got all of their queen cells removed. So they are now hopelessly queenless. Just going to snug these frames back together. We're going to go over and pull a frame out of the hive that I want the daughters from. Do some grafting. Surprisingly, I didn't even though I got the smoker down here, didn't even have to do any smoke. Get that out of here. Let's get them closed back up. They already know they're queenless. Here shortly they're going to realize that they went from a bad situation to a worse situation. So we got that task done. I've got my frame here that I want to graft off of. The bees are keeping it plenty warm. I'm going to have to get them off there though. You really don't want to shake these too hard. So this is where a bee brush comes in. Unfortunately, they really don't like this. So you just want to kind of flick them off. You don't want to try to push them off. If you're not careful, you try to push them off, you're just rolling them and beating them up and really making them mad. Another queen cell, look at that. See, didn't even see that when I looked at it the first time. Come on, girls, get off of there. reason you don't want to shake the frame, which would be a lot quicker and easier, is you don't want to dislodge the freshly hatched larva that you're trying to graft off of. Come on, get out of there. Okay, we'll go over here and jump in the truck, graft just a few little larvae off of this. Then we'll come back and pop it in. I'll make a decision what I'm going to do with this queen cell in the meantime. A nice looking queen cell. And again, I really like this queen, so I hate to waste them, you know? Okay, it's been almost 24 hours since I put a couple grafting bars in here. We're going to see how the girls took to them. It's pretty early in the year. We got plenty of time to make a lot of queen cells this year. This is our first test run for the year. I don't want to disturb them anymore. I have to. I just want to ease the grafts up and see what they look like here. So we're going to try to be slow and gentle and kind of quiet. I did not bring my smoke. After being in here yesterday, they're probably, you know, they were pretty good yesterday. I'm sure they're not real happy and they remember all the disturbances from yesterday. I sure got a few of them buzzing up around my head here. See how fast they react to my movements. Okay, looks like I got 6 out of 10 there. They're drawing really fast. Not bad. I'm good with that. See if we can ease this other frame up here. And then we're going to get them closed right back up. Come on, girls, out of the way. Got things already glued together pretty good, don't they? Okay. Looks like on these I didn't do as good. They've cleaned most of them out, but I do have a couple over here on this one. So we got a few queens that'll be coming along. Hopefully they finish these. Let's get them, yeah, they're getting pretty wound up. Let's get them buttoned back up here. Those all shoved right back over real nice and snug. Very gently put the lid back on. Try not to hurt too many of them. Don't want a bunch of alarm pheromone going off any worse than what there already is. Okay, so it's been 24 hours. You saw where I pulled the frames up. Looks like I did a better job on the JZBZ cups. They accepted 6 out of 10. And I did with the other style cups. I like the other style cups because I can put a roller cage on them if I don't get them transferred into the splits fast enough. That's fine. We're going to have some nice young queens. Looks like they're really pulling them out and starting to build jelly in them really fast. So they jumped on them pretty good. Pretty excited for the first run through. And, you know, next weekend we're going to be doing splits and starting to move those queen cells into them. These queens should be going on their mating flights about the first of the month if everything goes as planned. Now, there's always chances some of these won't hatch. There's chances that they'll go on mating flights, don't make it back. I usually have pretty good success in the spring, much more than I do in the summertime. I would like to take a moment to say, for those of you that only have 2, 3, or 4 hives and you want 1 or 2 queens, the easiest way for you to do that is just make a split. Take a couple frames and do like what they call a walk-away split. 2, 3 frames of bees. Make sure that there's eggs and tiny larvae in there. Put them in a nucleus box, close them down pretty good, put a feeder on them. They're going to start building queen cells almost immediately. You know, this is probably the easiest way for you to do it. You don't have to graft, you don't have to do all this. We're going to be doing quite a few queens this year, so I've got a couple different hives that we're going to be using as nothing but cell builders. Another thing is, just go and get a couple queens from one of your local breeders. Local breeders. I can't emphasize local breeders. Local breeders that have, you know, really good reputation. They've been doing it for a long time. You know, they're going to have quality queens that the bees are somewhat adapted to your environment. I don't really suggest buying queens from the deep south. It can get a little tricky there. Some of these queen breeders, they do a good job. The ones from, you know, for the packages, they do a good job, but they're doing tens of thousands of queens. Sometimes you get some that really just aren't that good. They're not that well mated. Sometimes it's too early in the year. Sometimes you get some that are pretty feisty, and that's from some of the mixed up genetics down there. So just, you know, if you need a couple queens, just get them from a local queen breeder, or do a walk-away split if you only need 1 or 2. But yeah, you know, patronize your local queen breeders. There's some really good ones here in Ohio. There's some really good ones in Kentucky, Indiana. You know, just try to get some that are within a couple hours of where you live, so they're somewhat adapted to your environment. Look around. You'll find some good queen breeders out there. So, hope you enjoyed this. We're going to follow this along also as I do the splits, and we move queen cells into them, and as they hatch, we're going to follow every bit of that along so you can kind of see little bits and pieces of that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you keep following along. See you next time.